Welcome everybody to the BIDE podcast, the podcast of Barcelona International Dance Exchange. Today, in episode number 79, we are with Bruno Duarte. Welcome, Bruno. We're so happy that you're joining us today, and we're talking to you today in your capacity as a dancer, teacher, and performer. But let's start straight away with a bit of geographical context. So whereabouts are you in the wonderful world that we live in? And if you can paint a little bit of a picture for us, that would be great.
Hi, Zöe. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here. So I'm Portuguese. I work in Almada, which is, for those who don't know, right next to Lisbon. It's easier to locate like that. Yeah, and I am a choreographer, I am a dancer, and I teach as well. So I work mostly between these three occupations, and I keep busy. I keep very busy.
Wonderful. And are you at home at the moment?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Yeah, lovely. Amazing. So let's go straight in. Let's hear a little bit more about you. So by all means what you do, but who are you, Bruno? Who is Bruno that our listeners are meeting today?
I don't know how far back should I go, but I started dancing very young, but I started with hip hop, which
cool.
It's kind of important, but because it influenced me as an artist, obviously. So I started with hip hop very young, and then I found contemporary dance quite late, actually at 16. So for a professional dancer, this is late. Yeah. And then I fell in love with contemporary. I dropped the hip hop eventually. I still like it, but I do not do it anymore. And I went to study contemporary dance, first in the university in Portugal. Then I had an exchange period in Artes in the Netherlands. And after that, I just started working right away. I was very fortunate to find work right away with some companies. I worked with Fundação Carlos de Gulbenkian in some operas as well. I was invited to create my first piece right after university as well for CCB, Centro Cultural de Belém, which is a huge theater in Portugal. So I've been very fortunate to be working ever since.
Fantastic. I mean, it sounds like it was a real springboard straight into a career, which has obviously been very, very, very varied as well. What do you think that you bring specifically to the performing arts kind of ecosystem within which you find yourself? So it's really interesting to hear about your history in hip hop as well. And I wonder, does that bring a certain flavor in what you bring to your work or to the ecosystem, or what else specifically do you think Bruno brings?
Oh, that's a hard question.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. I like to think I'm very passionate about things, and I'm quite, I would say, obsessive with it when I'm creating. So I really go deep within the research of things. I like to know every little thing about the thing I'm investigating. So what I think about, I think I bring some insight into my pieces. I think I tried that nothing in my work is not deliberate. So there's a specific meaning behind everything. I think that's the most important thing about what I do. I wouldn't say it's important, of course, but I'm very, very deliberate in everything I put on stage, and I hope it gets across to the audience. I don't know if it does, but I hope it does.
Amazing. So everything is measured and has a place within each piece. And do you think that you have certain themes that you're bringing within your work, or is everything very different that you create?
I don't think there's a common theme that I can pinpoint at this moment. I always tend to work with things that really I'm passionate to, like things that are important to me somehow, or that I feel like I can connect with them. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to go so deep into the processes.
Yeah, of
So
course, absolutely. And I imagine you find yourself quite immersed when you're in that process as well.
yes, yes.
So where do you draw inspiration from? Can you give us some examples about, what can create that obsession, if you like, that you talk about?
It's really everything. So I really like reading. I read a lot and I watch a lot of movies, but I sometimes I use this as an example with students, because one of the most I would say important moments in one of my shows, which was called Within the Embrace, was actually an image stolen from an America's Next Top Model episode.
Brilliant.
So I have this, of course, this deep research, but then some things, some very simple things that I watch on television, that I see on the streets, are also giving me inspiration. Yeah. So I keep them all. I write them and I keep them in my mind, and then out of nothing I remember them, and okay, this works here. I remember this because of some reason. It stayed with me because I felt it. So if I felt it, maybe someone will feel it as well.
Absolutely. And do you think you're quite visual then as a creator? That it's
Yes,
visual?
completely.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sometimes I have this thing with dancers and with performers where I know something will work,
Uh-huh.
and some people don't really see it as I see it, but I'm envisioning the whole scene. So I'm like, you have to trust me. I know this will work.
Yeah.
I know it's not looking good right now, but this will work. So trust me. And then in the end, it usually does. I wouldn't say it works all the time, but I have these images of the piece from the beginning. I envision it like happening at this point on space, or I hear the music I want, which is a very difficult thing, because I know which music I want, but sometimes I don't recognize the music, so I need to look for it. I know I feel like there's this drum or there's this violin, or so sometimes I even have to try and compose it myself. I don't have the tools as a musician, but sometimes I have the need to really try to find these sounds and put them together, because I can't find the music I want or I envisioned.
Absolutely, yeah. And I guess that then just fuels that obsession, because it has to be
Hmm.
right. It needs to match the instinct that you have
Yes,
for the
yes,
work.
yes, yes.
So amazing. Okay, so we have at BIDE we've worked with these kind of possibilities, if you like, these questions of what you have, what you leave, and what you take from
Hmm.
scenarios. So you can interpret this however you wish, really. But I guess you've already started saying that attention to detail, that obsession. There's specific things that you're bringing or that you have, I guess. But we're focusing more on what is there than not than what isn't, like what you don't have.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? So what do you have? What do you leave people with? It might be an interpretation. And what do you take from this that you do?
Okay, so what do I have?
Yeah.
Um, I think I have a strong drive. So
Mm.
I really go to things, and I can't be my friends are always mad at me because I'm always creating. So even when I'm out with my friends, I'm always thinking about work, which is not so healthy, but I do. And I have this endless curiosity. So I think this is the most strong asset I have, uh, and which helps me a lot, actually. What do I give? Um,
But what do you leave?
or what do I
Yeah.
live? Yeah,
Yeah.
I try to live this. Sorry, I think
No.
it's a hard question. I like to leave people not hanging, but with questions. Because since I'm very curious and I'm always questioning everything, I like other people to do it as well. So that's why my pieces are, I don't think they are never statements. I hope they leave people questioning some things and not, I am not, I don't want them to be very direct. So I don't want people
Sure.
to take immediate answers from my works. I like them to be with to have thoughts after the. Sorry, I'm not putting it right, but I'm trying to.
No, it's great. I'm intrigued, definitely. So
Mhm.
it's interesting. Sorry, continue.
Yeah. So I have very strong opinions. Don't get me wrong, but
Uh-huh.
when I tend to present work, I don't want it to be my opinion somehow. Of course,
Sure.
it's what I'm saying that's there, but I don't want to impose that. I think that's the
Mm-hmm.
word. I don't want to impose my opinion on others. I want them to take everything I say and take it with them and somehow let it bubble in their heads.
Yeah, absolutely. And almost, I guess, to inspire the curiosity with which you explore the
Hmm.
work, um,
Yeah, yeah,
which
yeah,
is
yeah.
nice. It's almost like you're leaving that sense of curiosity for your audience,
Exactly,
perhaps.
exactly. That's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say. Sorry.
No, you said it. You said it definitely. Um,
And then
Amazing.
what do
And
I
then
take?
what you take, yeah.
Yeah, I'm very interested. I'm going a little bit back now. I'm very interested in theater as well,
Mm,
and I'm very inspired by theater, and in meta theater. So in things that speak about themselves or things that have a lot of layers. So I have two pieces that work in this sense. One of them is A Quiet Moment, which is about Psycho from Alfred Hitchcock,
sure.
but we did it as if we were dancers portraying the actors, portraying the characters, and the set is like the movie set. It's almost like we were recording the movie all over again. So it has a
Amazing.
lot of layers to it. And then another one is Cena, which is about theater in its concept. So the place, the actors, the theater itself. So and and there's a lot of speaking about what already exists, and I tend to want everyone to know that I still, and this does not sound right, but I'll explain. A lot of people tend to run away from images that have been done,
Mm,
but my thought is, for me, everything has been done. So if something I want to put on stage, anything I want to put on stage has already been done. So it's better for me to reference it
mm,
deliberately than to pretend I don't know where it's from. So even in this last work, Cine, I have this list going on as the audience centers, which says this show steals from, and then there's all the references I use in the show.
nice.
So I'm very interested in referencing works and all kinds of works actually, but deliberately. So
Mm,
um, it's also a matter of respect, and even I think it can be used in a humorous way as well sometimes. So it's paying respect to someone who did it before I did and maybe better than I did, but yeah, I think that's what I take mostly. I take references, I take ideas,
mm.
I revolve them around, I change them, and I try to use them the best that I can.
Amazing. Thank you. That gives really lovely insight, and I'm picturing the scene as you speak, definitely. I'm also really drawn to, just for our listeners, I'm drawn to the artwork and the eclectic mix on the wall behind you as well, with the mask
Ah.
and yeah, and masks, and I think this speaks very I was reflecting whilst you were talking, and it gives insight to that theatricality and curiosity. And yeah, so there's a range of pictures and artwork and also masks on the wall behind Bruno, and yeah, it's particularly drawing me in, so I feel like I've got that curiosity straight away. um, so Bruno, a slightly different slant on this next question. Have you ever thought about quitting the job? And if so, how many times, and how do you move past that? I guess I think creative work can often be quite a challenge, but yeah, what's your relationship with this idea of quitting? Have you experienced that?
I did actually. So, working in dance, I think everywhere now, but in Portugal, it's very hard.
Yeah.
There's always these difficulties, these government cuts, this. So it's very hard, and obviously the pain which we feel every day. I'm not getting young, so there's a lot of questions which I tend to think quite often. But and even I did a show this weekend, and I was with the other dancers, and we were very nervous before the show, and we were saying, why do we do this to ourselves? We don't need to do this to ourselves. It's a very hard profession. But every time I think about leaving and quitting, there is this thought of I couldn't be behind the desk. I couldn't be working in a cafe because I need to express myself. I still have a lot to say. So I do think sometimes I could leave dance and I could go to theater, or I could do cinema, but I don't think I could quit arts as a whole. So yes, maybe in the future I could quit dance, maybe not, but I think I'll have to work with something artistic, with some other art form.
Yeah, absolutely. I think many people will relate to the why do we do it to ourselves? Why do you do it to yourself for the dancers? But maybe just to, I think you have in a way answered it, because often we have to, or you have to. But is there anything else that you could give insight to? Why do you do it to yourself? You still perform, yes, as well,
Yes, I do.
physically
I do.
yourself, which is lovely, and I'm sure that that informs your choreographic practice too, and teaching, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, why do you do it to yourself still?
I think it goes back around again to the curiosity part,
Yeah.
because as much as I like to perform, for me it's so interesting to get inside other people's heads, and being in the studio with the choreographer is exactly that, is trying to understand their thoughts, trying to understand their references, where they come from, what do they want us to say. And sometimes there are choreographers that are not direct at all, so we need to really try to go inside their heads, and that's really interesting for me. And then in the end, to feel like I understood, and to feel like my body, yeah, not even me, but my body understood what they wanted to say, and I now have the power to say it to the world. So I'm like a vessel to their thoughts, and that's
Nice.
quite a strong feeling.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's beautiful. Really nice. And it mirrors exactly what you were saying before about how you take the time to really arrive at the image that you see in your mind as a
Hmm.
choreographer, and how you know, work with dancers to, and ask them for that patience to be able to achieve it. So it's
Yeah,
really beautiful. I think there's something so um uh, it's almost another sense, isn't it, when we're moving and when
yeah.
we're expressing through the body. So yeah, thank you. That was really beautiful. Um, so I have a question for you here, which I'll ask in a second. And it is a question that was pitched to us by the previous guest that we had on the podcast.
Mhm.
So are we going to ask you to do the same? So for our next guest, we'd love you to ask a question basically that the next interviewee should answer. So I'll ask you the question first. I'll ask you the question from our previous interviewee, so just bear with me. So our previous guest, and I'll keep a little bit of tension for our listeners because of what it's published. But the question that we have for you today is, what art piece, or which art piece, painting, movie, book, whatever, has had a really strong impact on you? That's one question from our previous listeners. So we'll start with that. And I do actually have one more question to follow up on that afterwards.
Okay.
So what art piece, painting, movie, or book has had a really strong impact on you?
I think there is this, yeah, I know which one to answer. Yeah, there is this book called A Little Life by Anya Yanagiara. And it's a mind-blowing book for me. I always say it's the book of my life. I say it to everyone I know. It's a romance, but it struck me so deep. So yeah, that's it. A Little Life by Anya Yanagiara.
A Little
For
Life.
sure.
Amazing. Hopefully everyone will go and read it. See. Amazing. And then the next, so going backwards in time, so this is about what impacts you. But what was the actual trigger for you to decide to start working in the arts professionally? I know that you gave us a little bit of insight at the beginning about the trajectory of your training and of the disciplines within which you work. But what do you think that initial trigger was for you to work professionally in the arts?
I think I always knew from a very young age. All all the things I did as I was playing, even alone, was doing shows to my family, to my classmates, to everyone. And there's this little thing that I think triggered me even more, because in Portugal, I don't know if in the other countries it's the same, but in Portugal, when we get to the 9th grade, so 9th grade, 12 years, 13 years maybe, we do these tests to see which profession should we follow, which jobs should we get, so we can continue our studies towards that path. And all my tests gave out agriculture.
Oh.
And as a kid, I was very mad, and I was like, this is all wrong. I'm going to be an artist. And that's when I set myself to prove these tests wrong. So I knew I needed to prove them wrong, and I did. So
amazing. And you went straight into choreographing, performing. Sounds like it was meant to be, definitely, and you've worked to prove them wrong.
Yes.
So who knows, maybe you'll do a piece about agriculture.
maybe in the future.
Okay, so let's go to your question. What would you like us to ask the future guest on our show?
So what I thought was, I don't know if he's a choreographer, if he's a producer, but for me, the question is, if you had complete freedom and had no boundaries, or either physical or budget restraints, what kind of piece would you create, or would you want to help create?
Amazing. I love that question. It links straight back to the curiosity again.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. That's great. Okay, so we're getting towards the end of our questions. So really, what would be great, we always ask our guests to create or to reflect upon what they've been saying, and also what we've captured, and to propose a title of the podcast. So what do you think the tagline of your podcast should be, from what you've spoken about?
Yeah, I think I'll have to use curiosity. So maybe diving in curiosity, something like that.
Diving in curiosity.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
I think that's my feeling of this conversation, is going deep, this deep dive into curiosity.
Nice. Deep dive into curiosity. I love it. And hopefully everyone will. I'm a strong, I used to always advise my students to seek, to try to inspire that curiosity as well. So it's something close to my heart too. Bruno, thank you ever so much for joining us on the 79th episode of the BIDE podcast. We look forward to seeing you again soon, and obviously to following your work as you continue to create and to give what you give to this this exciting ecosystem of dance and performance. So it's been an absolute pleasure, and obrigado.
Obrigado. It's been a real pleasure for me as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.